And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. That's my buddy Jay Finning's voice in the beginning, if you haven't heard that. I talk to Jay a lot. We talk about a lot of stuff. I wanted to let you guys know about a couple things. This is going to be a solo episode. Again, this is just me chatting. First of all, I wanted to talk about like supporting the show, right? Because there's a lot of people who think, well, I can't support that because I can't give money, I can't buy merch, I can't do that, I can't blah, 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 blah. There are ways that you can support the show without costing you a dime. And the first way to do that is to share the podcast, share the YouTube video, share it on social media. If I post something on TikTok, repost it, share it, make a comment. 3 ways, right? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but this, I'm going to call it what it is. My wife calls it this. I would love to do this full time. But as of right now, the last 4 years have been somewhat of a hobby. It's something that gives me a place, an outlet to talk to other people, to expand my mind, to learn, to build, and help people. I am a teacher. Not in the sense that I'm in a classroom teaching people, but in the sense that I want people to be better at what they do every day. And in order to do that, people have to be able to understand that whatever barrier you face, there is an outlet. There is a way to get around it. But you have to be willing to do that. And that's what I like to show people. You are in charge of your own life. No one else is. The situation that you were born into or that you were around has nothing to do with who you are today. It may be something in the past that stops you or gives you that mental block that doesn't allow you to move forward. But you can move forward. You just have to find a way. And it isn't easy. No one's going to do that for you. You're going to have to figure that out. And I don't know that I always thought that way. I always did it, but I never thought about it. It just came natural to me. I always wanted to be better. So that's why I do the show. And the free way to support, right there. I do have a Patreon. I do have, I'm monetized on YouTube. I'm monetized on TikTok. Watching the videos, sharing the videos, getting other people to see it is a way to help me. Okay? If you do want to join the Patreon, you can. You can go to westankersley.com and there is a link there and it'll show you everything that you can do to support the show if you feel like you can give monetarily. All that money goes back into me making this better for you. The listening, the visual, those enhancements. Because I can't spend my own money on making this thing better. Because, I got other bills I got to pay. So I've got everything that I got. I don't know that I'm going to put another dime into it. I would like to get some new cameras and things like that. But that's where that would go. So if you feel like joining the Patreon, there's 3 tiers. It's a couple bucks a month. And then at the end of the year, you'll be getting some swag. Or there are different things that you get for supporting for a certain amount of time. I want to thank Nikki Pavlovich. She's currently my only Patreon. But there are so many people that have supported me on TikTok when I go live, giving me gifts, watching the videos. You're all out there. You want to talk? You have any questions about the show? You have anything that you think that I might be able to help you with? If you'd like to talk about having your own podcast, how you can make that happen, just email me, wes@westankersley.com. And that website is westankersley.com. So let's get on to it. I want to move on. I wanted to set that out there so you guys know that it's not me just begging for money. There's a lot of people who are just like, give me money, give me money, give me money. It's me trying to make it better. And I want for you guys to have a better experience. I also want more people to see it. I want people to be able to have a better viewing experience, listening experience, those types of things. So let's talk about some of the topics. I have some stuff that has been very interesting to me. You have people in your life that you interact with on a daily basis. You can't control the people that you interact with. Like when they're in your face. You have to You sometimes have to be around these people. Could be family, could be coworkers, could be anything. You may not like them. You may not want to be around them. You may not like what they're doing. You sometimes still have to be around them, right? I talked about cutting people off. And it's especially hard when it's one of the latter. You work with them, they're your family, those types of things. There are situations that you do not like, but I don't like having conversations with people who don't make me feel good about myself. And that's not all it's about, because but wanting to give that back as well, right? So if I walk into a room and someone is talking terrible shit on everyone and they're continuing to go and they're tearing people down and they're tearing people down, they're tearing people down, my first mind is, all right, let's jump on this. What can we do to tear this down? I said mine, but my first thought is like, how can we get in on this? Or what can we do to defend it? What's the easy way to jump on the bandwagon and start talking shit, right? That's the easy way. Because you can probably think of a lot more bad things to say than you can good things. Do this to yourself. Say one good thing about yourself right now. How hard was that? Say one good thing about your significant other. How hard was that? And I can bet you that if it was easy to say one good thing, you probably can't pull up two or three. Those are the things that you go through. Like trying to give someone a compliment is tougher than trying to tear someone down. That's why the world is in love with negativity. That's why you post a TikTok video about positive, it gets 250 views. You post a negative one, it gets thousands. That's why they push it, because people want to see that crap. And so my thought process is to buck the system, right? And there's few people who want to buck the system. And that's all there is to it. There's few people who want to buck the system, but we're being sold that this is the way that it is, and we inadvertently make that decision to be a negative person because most people around you are negative, and you have to figure out a way to be positive. There's two types of people that are around. A word, and this may trigger you, and this may make you, this may piss you off, but I want to talk about this word that's been thrown around every single day. More and more, I hear people calling someone a narcissist. And I think about it, right? Am I a narcissist? What is a narcissist? So what do you think about that? The word narcissist means a person who has an excessive interest or admiration of themselves. So someone who is basically full of themselves and only cares about themselves and doesn't care about others and doesn't think about others. And I was listening to a book that a friend of mine told me to listen to. And it was interesting because they were essentially talking about narcissistic people, right? One thing I want to tell you, the use of this word, I'm looking at it right now because when I pulled up the definition, I was like, let's see. It says the use of this word, like it shows, in 1800, 1850, 1900, not used at all. So my guess is that the word came around 1950. The use of it in 2019, it doesn't show, but it has spiked significantly. Significantly. So the word is a word that gets, I want you to think about how many times you've heard that word, or if you've ever heard that word. And you can tell me what your thoughts are about the word narcissist, but I feel like you get around someone who's been around one narcissist, or they've used that word to figure out how to pinpoint that to someone. Everyone can somehow, some way be called a narcissist. Okay? There may be one time where you put yourself first, and then you could be considered a narcissist. And that's all it takes is one person figuring that out. A person who has excessive interest or admiration of themselves. Everyone should think about themselves. So everyone should be a narcissist, right? You throw that word around, and everyone becomes a narcissist. You have one thought about yourself, you're a narcissist. You talk about it. I know that there is actual people that's all they can think about is themselves. And that's it. They don't care. But to me, and this is what this book said, is it's not eye for eye in relationships. Your relationships are not a credit plan. So you don't charge and pay it off, and charge and pay it off, and charge and pay it off. What you should do is you should be willing to be able to give selflessly And what you put out there, you will be returned it. Okay? So think about that. What are you doing to selflessly give to other people? And I want to tell you what this book's called. It's called The Go-Giver. Okay? It's by Bob Berg. My friend Chuck Scott, who I recently started talking to again. I hadn't talked to him in a long time. I talked about him in the last podcast. Gave me 3 books to read. And this one, I'm just like sitting there listening to it. I'm like, I don't do enough of that. I don't do enough of giving people more. What can I do? I was sitting down with a meeting on Tuesday with a friend of mine that I work with, a coworker. And we were sitting there talking, and he always does this. He says this every time I go in there, and I'm starting to think about, like, where does this come from? What can I do for you? What can I do to help you? That's always, we start talking about something, and then when we're done, he's like, and what can I do to help you? And I had to think about it. I'm like sitting there going, nothing, but thank you for asking. Like, I mean, we're talking about it right now. We're talking about the things that we want to do, things that we want to make better, things that can change the way that, things are going. Projection of the company, what we have to give, what we have to offer. We're talking back and forth. And that's something that I crave, that thought process, that thinking. Jay makes me think every single time I talk to him. I say something and he's like, okay, well, look at it this way. And then I start thinking about it. It's like, I never used to do that. It used to be like, this is the way that it is, right? In my mind, this is the way that it is. And being able to change that, being able to see, being able to understand that process. We have a lot of political issues, and I'm not going to talk political other than this, right? Some people like Joe Biden, some people like Donald Trump, some people like Rick DeSantis, some people like Bill Clinton, right? What they want is they want for you to pick that camp and stay in that camp and be mad at everyone who's not in the same camp as you. So don't think for yourself. If you have an argument, and this goes both ways, if you have an argument with a Biden supporter about Donald Trump, typically, not everyone's this way. I'm not this way. If they don't agree with your opinion, then it's a fight, right? And you're doing everything you can to convince them that they are wrong. And vice versa. I can't remember who I said, but if the situation was turned around, you like Donald Trump, you're yelling at a Joe Biden person who doesn't like, Donald Trump. And it's you're trying to convince them of your reason. It's not your job to convince people one way or the other, but we want to divide everything. So I can't be a friend with you because you're a Democrat. You can't be a friend with me because I'm a conservative. I can't be a friend with you because you like the color black and I like the color white. I mean, it's as basic as that. Like, not being able to think for yourself and have an adult conversation about a situation without getting offended. And I think that's the hardest part that we deal with. And that's where that becomes. So now all of a sudden, you're a narcissist because you only think about yourself. That's it. The word's thrown around too much. You have a different take on it? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to understand a little bit better about it. Email me, wes@westankersley.com. I'll read it. I'll check it out. I'll listen to both sides of the situation, but I will tell you what. There are a lot of words, not just that word, that are being overused over time. Another word that I like, because I consider myself this, is an empath. Okay, so an empath is a person with paranormal ability to apprehend the mental or emotional state of another individual. I don't necessarily think that it's paranormal. But to me, an empath is someone who feels what other people are feeling. So if you're sad or mad or angry, I can pick that up and feel that. Some people don't have the ability to do that. I feel like this might be the opposite of a narcissist, because a narcissist does not have the ability to understand how other people feel typically. The definition of a narcissist, right? And again, I'm no psychology major, but that's just the way that I feel about it, okay? Empath, on the other hand, feels your pain, If you're going through something, they want to help you get through that. This can also be a problem, right? Because as we were talking about before, if you're in a negative headspace and you pick up the negative vibes, then it gets projected onto you and you can become a negative person based on the feeling that you have around you. If it's all hunky-dory and it's positive and people are talking good and everyone's in good spirits, you feel that way too because you feel what's going on. And there are a lot of empathetic people in this world that just get tore down because they have feelings, or they get taken advantage of because they have feelings. Someone loses their job, they come to you, hey, I need money. You feel really bad about it. You give them money, or you feel really bad because you can't give them money when they're asking because you can't afford to do that, because you have to take care of your family and your stuff first. And that's the hard part, right, with being an empath. If someone is sad about a relationship, you feel that. Maybe they got broke up. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they just are down in the dumps. Maybe they're depressed. But you feel that, and then you become that, right? It's difficult. But you also have to look at what's going on with other people. And I think that that's the biggest thing. In my mind, if you really look at the outlying situation here, it's you never know what other people are going through. You never know how other people feel. I talked about this in a TikTok live the other day. You may look at me and think that I look great. I look at myself in the mirror every single day and go, oh, I got a mole there. I got a hairy back. I'm fat. I got love handles. These are things that I see. And the problem is when you start to see those things yourself, you start to think those things yourself, you think negative about yourself, and boom, there you go. So you never know what someone is thinking. You may think they look great. You may look at a model and go, holy shit, she's hot. He's hot, whatever you think. They may feel totally terrible about themselves, and they're just doing it to try and get some attention so that they can feel better about themselves. So when you say, oh, you're loaded, or you got this and you got that, some of the most unhappy people are the people that you think should be happy. So never judge a book by its cover. Again, it's not eye for eye. Understand that. This is going to be a little shorter episode, but that's what I want to talk to you about today. It's not an eye for eye. A relationship is not a credit plan. What can you do to make someone's life better today? And that's what it is for me. That's what this show is about. Helping other people find a way to do things to make themselves better if they want it. You gotta want it, right? You gotta want to be better. And if you don't, that's cool. That's your choice. Don't bag on other people. Don't make fun of other people who are trying to push themselves forward to be better, because that's not your job. And if you're on the other end of that, I know it's not easy, but you need to try as hard as you can to not let what other people say about you bother you. It's easier said than done. I go through it every single day. And that's part of why we're doing these solo shows. I want you to understand that it isn't easy for me to be a positive person. There's a lot of negative things that happen in my life, but you have to choose to find the good in the bad. The bad is in the past. What can you do in the future? What lessons can you learn to continue to move forward? I want to say thank you again to Nikki Pavlovich, Patreon business supporter. Remember that every single penny that goes to helping me, supporting me, building this brand, building this podcast, helping other people find success goes towards making the show a little bit better. If you're looking for sponsorship, you want to have an ad on the show, let me know. We'll figure something out. If you want to join the Patreon, best way to do it. Business supporters get shout outs. People who support the show get shout outs every single episode. And there are a bunch of tiers and different things that you can do on the Patreon. And if you don't have any money, no big deal. Share, subscribe, like, review. Till next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.